3 DMPs today. Those were Alex Smith, Kevin Pierre-Louis, and Cole Holcomb. All 3 of them will be ruled out for the game on Sunday. 2 limited participants, Thomas Davis and Antonio Gibson, and 2 full participants, Jonathan Allen and Peyton Barber. Davis, Allen, and Barber will not be listed on the game status, and Antonio Gibson will be listed as doubtful. With that, we can open it up. There's no list today, but we can kick off with John Kahn.
Hey, Ron, what happened to Cole?
Cole's in the concussion protocol, and that's as much as I can get into.
Okay, and then with Alex, what was the final deciding factor there for him?
Well, getting to watch him do some of his movements and stuff that he was going to have to do in the game, and he still felt a little bit tight.
Thank you.
Go, Chris Russell.
Yeah. Hey, Ron. Sorry, I just got in here. Just curious in terms of, sometimes I guess a team can get a little bit high on themselves and maybe a little bit loose when you're riding a 4-game winning streak and everything feels good. Did you sense from your team that they had that, or did you sense that they were intense, like they had something still huge to prove this week?
I thought they had a good week. I did. I mean, again, you never know how those things translate to Sunday, and we shall see. But, that's one of the things that we talked about was, hey, we haven't accomplished anything, other than getting our record to 6 and 7. So I think the guys understand. I think they understand how important, each week that we play from here on out is. And this is a very important game we're playing this Sunday.
Thank you.
Nikki, if you're on.
Ron, who will be the backup on Sunday?
We have a choice of 2 quarterbacks that we'll decide on.
Matt Paris and then Ben.
Hey, Ron, with Dwayne, I know we've talked a lot about his, we'll kind of see on Sunday of how he'll be, but what have you noticed in terms of, or I guess, like, are there tangible ways you see that work ethic or the better practice habits translate to the practice field? Like, are you seeing that growth with him?
We're seeing him working hard at what he needs to work at. He's done a nice job with it. This is a game plan tailored to his skill set, what he does really well. We're going to try and take advantage of. And again, it's been a good work week for everybody, and we'll see how it all translates to Sunday.
Sam?
Hey, Ron, your head-to-head matchups against Pete Carroll, you've obviously had a lot of good ones. Maybe, the games haven't exactly gone how you'd hoped. What's it like coaching against Pete Carroll? And I guess, what are kind of the hallmarks of his teams that you see?
Well, I think the thing about Coach Carroll is, they've had a formula for a long time, and they've been very successful at it. A big part of it is depending on how situations are, they always feel that if they can keep us close at the end of the game, they're going to pull it out. That's one of their attitudes. The other one is if they get up on you early, they'll get you down and keep you down. I mean, he's got a real good sense, I think, in terms of his team and the way his team can approach each team that they play against. If you follow what I'm saying. So it's one of those things, and we'll just see how things start out. It's very rarely do you ever see them get blown out just because of the type of football team he has.
Let's go Ben, then JP.
Hey, Ron, we saw Antonio Gibson going through some drills out there. How did he look to you today?
He looked decent. Again, it's his first time out there really running. And, again, it's one of those things that he's got to get back into it day by day by day. We'll see how he feels tomorrow morning. And
as a sort of a random question, before you got the Carolina job, you were in the mix for other coaching jobs. I think reportedly you were in the mix for the Seattle situation, or at least they were considering you. What did you learn from those early opportunities, those early discussions that helped you think, get the Carolina job and kind of formulate what you wanted to do as a head coach?
Well, going through all the interviews that I had and listening to some of the comments afterwards from the different general managers and others that I talked with just to get some feedback, it really was about, what are you going to do? What have you developed? What have you thought about? What are you going to put into place? And it's really talking about that more so than it is, anything else. You could talk about who you coached for and who you worked with and all that kind of stuff, but what have you learned and how are you going to use it is probably the most important thing to talk about in those conversations when you have those interviews.
Thank you.
Hey, Ron, early in the season, you guys faced some mobile quarterbacks in Kyler and Lamar Jackson, and those guys were able to move around a bit. Is this defense just so much different than that group in the first month, or do you go back and revisit that tape and try to work on specific things?
No, I'd like to believe it is different, JP. It's funny. I was asked that question yesterday, and I thought about it overnight, just kind of going through a couple things in my mind. And it is different. And a big part of it is I think we understand our rush patterns a little bit better. We understand our responsibilities and our gaps, that type of stuff. So hopefully, again, this is the kind of guy you want to keep in the pocket. You just can't allow him to extend plays, because if he does, he is going to hurt you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Hey, Ron, I saw you kind of watching Antonio Gibson working with Randy Jordan, and I know he's listed as doubtful. What were you kind of looking for? What did you need to see from him, I guess, as he's like kind of going through some of the one-on-one drills and working with Randy?
Well, as you go through those things, you like to see the progression of, going from a light tempo to a little harder, a little harder, a little harder, a little harder. And, we got to a certain point, but you could tell he just didn't want to go any further. So, which tells me he's not quite where we need him to be. So, again, as you watch him, you've got to be smart about, the decisions that you make. And we'll see again, though, how he feels tomorrow morning, which is probably the biggest thing, more so than anything else, because, sometimes guys wake up the next morning and say, man, that really didn't bother me as much as I thought. So they go back out, and do more. So to me, it's always about the next day. It very rarely is it ever the day. Everybody goes, oh, well, how do you do that? Well, yeah, I did good, but we'll see how he is in the morning, because he can come up and he can be even more sore. He can come up and say, wow, that didn't bother me one bit. So, we've always been, when I was in Carolina, it was always about how does he feel after that workout? How does he feel after that day of work?
And just a quick thing, Dwayne mentioned the fact that when he was not, he was taking the third team reps, he was also working outside the facility with some of the practice squad guys to try to emulate those live set stuff. And he said he felt like that was helpful to him in the game. I guess, where have you seen the stuff that he's done either outside the facility or like working with Scott Turner, Ken Zampese, like really show up for you guys recently, I suppose?
Well, I think you go back and you look at, the first couple of series last week, and you see, how he went through his progression, how he made his throws. We had a little rhythm. We were in good situations on first and 10, second and medium, third short. Those types of things. It's conducive to seeing those things better with him. And again, he's got an opportunity, and I'm excited to watch him.
Let's go Les and then Michael Phillips.
And that Scott Turner said the other day kind of struck me. He said that when he sent Dwayne out there, he said, hey, I believe in you. And it made me wonder if, given everything that's happened, if that message is extra important to deliver to Dwayne right now.
Well, I think the biggest thing to deliver him is that, hey, we do have faith in you. We again, I think it's important that they understand that this is the next man up mentality. And it doesn't matter whether it's quarterback, O-line, which we've gone through this year, D-line, linebacker, what it is, that, hey, this is the guy that's next. This is the guy that we believe in. This is the guy that we kept around because we see something. And that's what you do, is you do that. So when he goes out there, heck yeah, we believe in him, because we believe he has the athleticism, the ability. And I've always said he's got an NFL arm. He really, truly does.
Thanks.
With Taylor Heineke, how much is he able to kind of pick up where you guys left off in Carolina, or to what extent is it kind of a different set of circumstances here and he's starting over a little bit?
No, Taylor's sharp dude. He picked it up right away, and I'd have no issues with having to play him come Sunday. If there was an emergency or situation that we had to put him in.
Can you I'm sorry, can you just tell us a little bit about, I mean, maybe his strengths as a quarterback or what it is you guys like about him?
First of all, he's a very good athlete. He really is. He's got tremendous athletic ability. He's got good speed, good quickness. He's got a good arm. He can make most throws in this league. He's a little bit of a gunslinger. He's got a good toughness about him, quick decision maker, and as I said earlier, he's a smart football player.
All right, we can open it up. We'll take two more.
Coach.
Hey, Ron, with Alex's calf, you talked about that needing to see how it was the next day. Did it just not progress to the point where, like, what made you kind of hoped that even if he didn't practice this week, that he could still maybe go on Sunday? What did you guys see from his calf that made you rule him out today rather than chance it till Sunday?
He went through some of the drills and said, I still feel it. So there's still some tightness. So obviously we're not going to push it, and we'll see how he progresses into next week.
Olivia,
hey Ron, you guys are on a 4-game win streak, and you got everything going, and then the quarterback gets hurt. Do you have to fight off any sort of "woe is me" attitude in that locker room?
I don't think so. I thought the guys had a good practice today. And again, it's one of those things that it's a next man up mentality, and we go forward, and that's all you can do is next man up.
Olivia, you can take the last one.
Coach, obviously what you're teaching is working. Your system has become a success the past couple of games. What have the players maybe taught you? What have you learned from these guys that have made you grow as a head coach here in Washington?
Well, I think a part of it has been their resilience, just learning that these guys are tough-minded, that for the most part, a lot of things just don't seem to faze them. And that kind of showed me that there's a pretty confident group, which is I think part of the growth process is, they're pretty confident. I think part of that confidence comes from the fact that they feel good about what they're doing and how they're doing it. And I think that kind of lends to growth. And so I'm excited about, their toughness and the fact that I think they feel confident in what we're asking them to do.